Hello Internet, Matthew Bell here.
And Jason Margolis.
We're here in the illustrious Press Filing Center at the Excel Center in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Said center twice, but that's okay. Yeah, this is where we spend almost all our time. All our time.
This is a special place.
Yes, and you've been doing this for 2 weeks because you were at the Democratic Convention too. You're a news warrior, newsroom warrior.
Wrapping up the week 2 here. So here's what we've got coming up for you. We talked to a handful of foreign-born delegates here at the convention and sat down, did some interviews on video, and we've got some highlights for you. And the first one?
They're all interspersed.
They're all interspersed, but you're going to hear from a gentleman from West Virginia. His name is Charles Minema. He's a businessman and a politician, and obviously a Republican because we're at the RNC.
And he's from Nigeria.
From Nigeria originally, that's
And then
right.
we have a Mexican-American who is a California delegate and a Vietnamese-American who is a delegate from Hawaii. So here's, we talked to them for quite a while, but here's the greatest hits.
I've always believed that here in the United States, with the African American population being in the minority, they pretty much have all their eggs in one basket by being majority in the Democratic Party. So I chose to join the Republican Party so that at least I'll be one of the few.
You vote for Republican because that's where the principles are. That's where the principles are. So I think that's my main issue.
I grew up knowing and believing in self-reliance and moving up ahead and having a small government. I mean, that's the reason why my parents brought me to the U.S.
Most of Vietnamese in our communities, we left Vietnam after the war in 1975. At that time, President Reagan is really inspired, and we also, so that's why many of us become involved with the Republican Party. So, but eventually, let's say now we have the second generation who some of them belong to Democrat.
It's the education, it's the economy, and it's also national security.
My priority issue is the national security and the foreign policy.
Well, fundamentally, the Republicans stand for lower taxes, strong defense, personal responsibility.
When dealing with national security, there's a threat with having with the Islamic terrorists, and so we need to make sure that we protect our country.
Do you agree more with the way that Barack Obama would handle U.S. foreign policy, or John McCain?
Well, for Barack Obama, that remains to be seen. I think McCain has been in the Senate long enough for it to speak for itself. And as we have a sign on the logo that says "Country First." He's done a lot in that area that most of the people feel more comfortable.
I think we as immigrants have a different perspective on it, and I understand that there's, just during the last couple of months we've seen that the drug trafficking has worsened in our borders, and we realize that the drugs that come into our country go directly into our communities. I was personally affected by a family member who fell deeply into drugs, and we have to realize that those drugs come in right through our border, and so there's national security there, and there's insecurity through to our communities.
We have too many illegal immigration, but American, that's where the people around the world come here to looking for the American dream. So therefore, I think this is the land of opportunity. So therefore, I think I agree with Senator John McCain in certain way that we have to open arms, open my hearts to the new immigrant.
I can't remember any time ever since I had the opportunity, to vote that I voted a straight ticket, because I know what the value of my vote is. What I would have loved to have seen more so in this election. You know, looking on the Democratic side, we have Barack Obama. I would have loved to have seen our Secretary Colin Powell as a candidate. John McCain is the guy that has a proven track record. Barack Obama has done a few things, but I think he's got room to grow. Hopefully, he would do a lot for the country should he get elected. As a Republican, most Republicans will say, you support your man.
I know Senator John McCain. I work with him as a Republican Party member and also as a friendship with the Vietnamese issue. I know Senator John McCain, the one with the vision, his courage, and so I think he's the one, the right leadership at this moment to lead our country through the very difficult time ahead of us.
I learned about Senator John McCain when I was attending college, and I was just amazed by his heroism about putting country first.
The fact that he served in Vietnam, is that a plus or a negative or neither for you?
Oh, that's the wonderful. As a Vietnamese community, I would like to pay my gratitude. Thank you for his service in Vietnam, fight for the freedom, and he still continue to look into democracy in Vietnam. So I as a Vietnamese American, I really appreciate his service. I think that's the very big plus.